When a lion charged straight at a man in the heart of the wild, everyone expected the worst. But what unfolded next was something no one could have predicted. This unbelievable encounter will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about nature. Beneath the harsh glare of the African sun, the endless savanna stretched like a golden sea. Ochre grasses swayed gently in the midday breeze, while acacia trees dotted the horizon like scattered umbrellas, casting delicate shadows over the scorched earth. Along a dusty trail, a crimson safari truck rumbled to a stop, its windows alive with the buzz of anticipation. Inside, wide-eyed tourists lifted their cameras, their voices falling silent under the weight of the landscape's grandeur. At the front of the bus stood Stan's ranger Kamala, calm, alert, and deeply attuned to the rhythms of the wild, with decades of bushcraft woven into his very being. Kamala was more than a guide. He was a guardian, trusted not only by humans but, as some would later believe, by the beasts themselves. Today, however, the wild would speak in a voice no one could have anticipated. As the bus rolled to a gentle stop along the dusty trail, the tourists leaned forward, their eyes wide with anticipation. The air shimmered under the relentless African sun, while the distant calls of hornbills echoed through the golden stillness. A pair of binoculars swaying around Kamala's neck, Ranger Kamala stepped off the bus and stood beside the observation vehicle. He scanned the horizon with the quiet focus of a man who had long learned to listen to the land. Years of walking this earth had taught him that the wild speaks in tracks, in distant calls, in the stirrings of the breeze. And this morning, something felt off. Then a sudden rupture. The grass beside the road exploded with motion. A male lion, framed thick with muscle and crowned by a vast golden mane, surged forth. Right behind him, another powerful, muscular lion came running, not with aggression, but with urgency. Kamala reacted without hesitation. He spun and bolted back to the bus, yanking the door shut behind him with a thud that startled everyone inside. Screams broke out. A camera fell. The bus pulsed with fear, and yet the lions did not advance. They paced back and forth, eyes wide, movements restless, not predators, but messengers. Inside the vehicle, hearts still raced, but the danger they feared did not come. Outside, the two lions continued to move back and forth, back and forth. Their great paws disturbed the dust in slow, agitated circles, but there were no snarls, no lowered stances, no signs of predatory intent, only tension and something else entirely. Ranger Kamala, now calmer, leaned toward the window, studying them closely. His trained eyes searched for meaning in their posture, their movement, their gaze, and then he saw it. Not rage, not hunger, but something far rarer in the wild, distress. The larger of the two, the lion with the fuller mane, turned briefly toward the brush, then back toward Kamala, holding his gaze for a moment longer than instinct would normally allow. It was not a threat, it was a plea. Kamala's breath caught, and a quiet realization settled over him like dust on the savannah. These lions weren't here to attack. They were asking for something, not with roars, not with force, but with desperation. Parents, helpless yet determined. Something was terribly wrong, and whatever it was lay just beyond the grass. For a long moment, no one inside the bus spoke. Only the sound of distant cicadas filled the silence. Then slowly, and with a steadiness that came not from bravado but from deep understanding, Ranger Kamala reached for the door handle once more. The tourist gasped as he stepped outside again, his movements measured, deliberate. This time, the lions did not charge. They parted. The larger male shifted to the right, the other lion, smaller but equally striking, moved a few paces ahead, pausing and then glancing back. There was no question now. They were guiding him. With each step, Kamala followed, his heart steady, his eyes sharp. The bush seemed to hold its breath. Even the birds had gone still. The lions led him just beyond the edge of the road, where the grass grew thick and the earth gave way to a shallow depression. In the soil there, hidden beneath tall reeds and a scattering of loose stones, was a narrow crack in the ground. Kamala paused, and then he heard it. A cry. Faint, fragile, frightened. The unmistakable sound of a cub, lost, perhaps injured, echoing from within the fissure. This was no accident. The lions had brought him here for a reason. Crouching low beside the crack, Ranger Kamala peered into the narrow slit in the earth. The ground was dry and jagged, lined with fractured stone and compacted soil, a natural trap created by time and erosion. There, wedged between the walls of the crevice, lay a lion cub, no more than a few months old. Its tawny coat was coated with dust, its small frame trembling. The cub whimpered softly, a pitiful sound of confusion and pain. One leg was pinned awkwardly beneath its body. The gap was narrow, far too tight for the cub to climb out on its own, and too dangerous for the adults to intervene without causing harm. This was why they had come, why they had broken instinct and sought the help of a human. The lioness let out a low, anxious whine from behind her. Massive paws shifted uneasily in the dirt. The male lion, silent and still, watched just beyond the brush, his eyes never leaving Kamala. There was no aggression in them, only hope. Without hesitation, Camilla rose and returned briskly to the bus. He moved with quiet urgency, grabbing a shovel, a coil of rope, and a small toolkit from a side compartment. When he returned, the lion stepped aside without a sound, offering him space, offering him trust. In the wild, such moments are vanishingly rare, but here, in the heat of the day, two apex predators had placed their faith in one man, and time now was everything. The heat of the day pressed heavily upon the savannah, but Ranger Camilla, unwavering in his focus, knelt beside the crack. His hands, though steady, trembled slightly as he grasped the shovel. The cub's cries, though faint, echoed in his mind with an urgency that cut through the stillness of the bush. With each measured stroke, Camilla removed the jagged earth, carefully mindful of the fragile cub trapped beneath. Dust clouded the air as he worked, beads of sweat gathering on his brow. Every movement was deliberate, honed by years of experience in this wild, unforgiving land. The cub's cries became more frequent, its voice thick with pain and fear. The lions, silent witnesses, remained motionless, as if suspended in time. The male lion's golden eyes locked on Camilla, unwavering in their trust. The lioness stood close by, her body taut with anticipation, her eyes never leaving her cub. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the gap widened enough. With a soft grunt, Camilla lowered the rope into the fissure, the fibers brushing against the cub's trembling form. Gently he coaxed it upward, his voice low and soothing, a quiet whisper in the wind. The cub, weak but alive, slowly emerged from the earth, its small body limping as it was carefully cradled in Camilla's arms. The lioness, unable to contain her relief, padded forward, her nostrils flaring as she nuzzled her cub. A deep, unspoken bond passed between them, man, lion, and cub, and in that moment, the wild seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. Gently, Camilla laid the cub on the warm earth, just a few paces from the lions. His hands, worn from digging, trembled with the weight of the moment. As the cub's tiny body touched the ground, the lioness moved swiftly, her paws light but firm. She nudged her baby, a soft, motherly whine escaping her lips as she licked the cub's dusty fur with tenderness. Her gaze, once filled with distress, now shone with pure relief. The primal joy of a mother reunited with her child. The male lion, slower but just as purposeful, approached with cautious steps, his massive head lowered as he examined the cub, his large eyes scanning for signs of injury. Satisfied, he sat down beside the lioness, his body rippling with quiet strength. Then, for a moment that stretched beyond time, the male lion turned and locked eyes with Ranger Camilla. No growl, no threat, just a deep, profound gaze, a silent acknowledgement, a bond forged in trust. Without a sound, the lions began to retreat, their regal forms dissolving into the tall grass. The cub nestled safely between them, protected once more in the embrace of the wild. As Camilla returned to the bus, the silence that filled the air was thick with emotion. The once chattering tourists now sat still, their eyes wide, their breath shallow. Some wiped away tears. Others stared out the windows, struggling to process the extraordinary bond they had just witnessed. They had just witnessed something extraordinary. One voice, barely more than a whisper, broke the silence. They asked for help, and he understood. Another voice followed, trembling with awe. "I never thought lions could do that." Camilla, his face weathered yet calm, took a slow sip of water, his eyes drifting toward the distant horizon where the lions had disappeared. For a moment, he remained silent, his mind still with them. He didn't need to speak, not at first. Finally, his voice, quiet yet steady, echoed through the bus. "That was no accident. They knew we could help." The bus, now wrapped in a hushed reverence, slowly resumed its journey, and somehow, the world outside felt forever changed. In the wild, we're taught to expect fear and prepare for danger, yet in the most unexpected moments, a bond can form between predator and protector. The intelligence and emotional depth of wild animals are often underestimated, but here, in this fleeting moment, we witnessed a silent understanding between man and beast. This story is a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion, conservation, and the need to safeguard the fragile balance of our world. For in that instant, a lion placed its trust in a man, and the man chose to honor it. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you like this story. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.